Innovation Station time, and today we talk cell phones.
Cell phones, and particularly smartphones.
When was your first cell phone?
Oh, I was going to ask you that question. My first cell phone was first year in college. So 2000.
Yeah, that would have been the same as me, actually.
Oh.
I moved to Korea in the year 2000, and I moved here in March. And I held out, and then finally, I think around like September or October, I just gave in because everybody had a phone, and I was one of the only people without one. And you kind of, for friends' purposes and work purposes, you kind of needed one.
Interesting. Well, are we talking just smartphones here, or like
No,
mobile
just regular
phones?
mobile phone, like cell phone.
Whoa. Okay, I guess it makes sense because I got my first one in 8th grade, which was 19. Oh my God, I'm giving away my
You don't
age,
have to
aren't
do that.
I?
Somewhere in the 1990s.
Yeah.
Your parents gave you that. That was just so, like, for safety purposes, they could keep in touch with you.
Yeah, I think that's the case for a lot of kids in Korea.
And I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, it is. Remember beepers?
Oh, I had those too.
Yeah, me too.
There was a stigma attached to beepers in Canada in the 1990s. You were either like a Wall Street type, finance person, or criminal.
Oh, what?
Really?
That was the stigma attached with having a beeper.
Whoa.
Why criminals?
I won't go into that.
Okay. But anyhow.
Watch a few Hollywood movies.
Well, cell phones have been around since the 1970s. Can you believe it?
Yeah, those
the brick ones.
The giant ones.
The giant brick ones, yeah. But can you guess which year an actual cell phone was first out in the market?
I was
A
thinking...
smartphone. Did I say cell phone?
Yeah.
Smartphone.
Smartphone would have been what, 2004 or 5 or something like that?
Yeah, I think that was the year.
Okay, so the very first smartphone, wait for it, came out in 1994.
Really? What?
Yeah. And it was actually...
the definition. So the definition of smartphone would have been different from what we know today, maybe?
Yeah, but not that different. Now, this was called the Simon Personal Communicator, and shortened as SPC. It was equipped with a touch screen.
Whoa.
It also had the ability to send and receive both emails and faxes. It had a calendar, address book, and also a native appointment scheduler as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Had a touchscreen. I didn't think touchscreen showed up until much later.
So this was the first ever one, but of course, it was probably very, very expensive.
Probably like $10,000 or something for one of these things.
Really big, I'm guessing.
But, smartphones changed our lives in the year 2007. So 2007 is a very important year for cell phones because that's the year when the Fruit Company came out with their first ever phone, the smartphone.
Yeah, innovation for sure, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. But actually, it wasn't 2007 when we were connected to the internet with our cell phones, actually. Before then, too, like in the year 2000s, we still had internet access through our phones.
I mean, you could send text messages with the flip phones, right?
Yeah.
You had number one was ABC. So if you wanted to, if your first word in the text message was can, you go 111, right? You remember that?
Yeah.
Oh,
Just
yeah,
to get
I
to
remember
this.
that.
To get to the letter, because you
Yeah.
had to cycle through it.
Yeah, but then if you mispressed it one more time, then you have to go back to it again and again and again.
Yep. But it wasn't a problem at the time, was it?
No.
It was what it was, and we were happy to have it.
Yeah, but then data services, the internet service was so expensive.
Oh
Yeah,
my
the phone
gosh.
prices weren't that expensive, but I remember my sister, she used my mom's phone when she was in elementary school back in the early 2000s. And then I remember that one month my mom was so furious, right? She called my sister and she said, "What is this? What did you use?" And it was the name of the data service for that specific brand. And it came out to like 30만 원.
Okay.
So $300 around, right?
From doing what?
From doing searching on the internet, playing games. I mean, she didn't know better, right? And my mom was so furious. I remember that incident. But my friends, some of them, the data service came out to 200만 원.
Wow.
Oh
2
my
million won. So
gosh.
it was a huge deal back then. But nowadays, I mean, internet access is so easy.
Yeah.
And it's not expensive at all. 2007 is so important because since then, smartphones started getting access to unwatered down internet service.
Okay.
So basically, you can get internet access through your phone, just like your computer, right? So
Like it's going straight to you type thing. There's no competition for it.
exactly.
Yeah.
So 2007 is that important year. So that's why a lot of companies started making these smartphones. Some companies, they tagged along with the fruit company and started to become their competitors, but some didn't, which caused them to really see a lot of drop in their sales.
Sure.
And that's why we're going to be talking about other companies today, of one that failed and one that is making a comeback.
So 2007 was a big year. Some companies tagged along and did okay. Other companies didn't do so well.
Yes, and recently one of those companies that didn't do so well announced that they're going to drop their whole smartphone, cell phone company.
Yeah,
Wow.
their whole line of...
Their whole line.
And that company's here in Korea.
In Korea. So in Korea, there are 3 companies that are pretty much dominating the cell phone market.
Right.
Sam, L, and the fruit. Right? I gave them names. Sam, about 7 out of 10 people use their phones. About 2 or 3 people out of 10 use the fruit.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know it was broken down that way. So Sam Blank is still dominating the market here.
Yes.
Yeah.
And around the world, actually.
Yeah.
So about 6 or 7 out of 10 is using Sam. And then 2 or 3 using the fruit. And then 1%, around 1% using the L.
Okay.
But the problem was in 2007, the executives of that company decided, hey, that company is coming out with a smartphone with a touch screen and everything. But, they were doing actually pretty well until then.
The L
company. Because they were coming out with these they called it feature phones, like the chocolate phone, or, they did a feature with luxury brands, and they were actually doing pretty well. So they wanted to stick to that and not go forward in a way, right? So they stuck to that, but that was the biggest mistake they ever made. So a couple of years after 2007, they wanted to, catch up with the whole trend of smartphones, but it was kind of too late to kind of make their brand stick out amongst the other competitors.
The other competitors had already kind of grabbed that image for themselves, I guess.
So they missed their time.
And those 2 other companies that are dominating the world, actually, they were they went through so many lawsuits. They were suing each other and all. But, in the end, they're making profits. But this L company, they were not making profits, and they were in the red since 2007.
That's a long period of red.
Yeah. And I mentioned they're taking 1 out of 10 people in Korea are using the L phone. Well, the numbers kept dropping every single year, so they saw no future. That's why they decided to drop the whole business, which was a huge decision.
So what does that mean then for current owners of those phones?
Well, they said that they're going to have the after service, what they call it here in Korea, like service, customer service.
Yep.
For those people who already own the phones.
Yeah.
They're going to be selling until May. They're pulling out of the market completely in July, I think, of this year.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, so they are selling, and they're going to keep doing customer service for people who already have it.
So if you got the 2021 model of some L blank phone, that you got the last one.
Yeah.
That's going to be such a hipster thing. I guarantee it's going to be a hipster thing in 4
Hold
years.
on to
That's
that.
true.
To have one of the L phones, right?
Yeah, and you never know. They might come back because another company who actually dropped out is making a comeback.
Yeah.
So this company is kind of similar to the L company.
Yeah.
But this company is the No company. Can you say knock?
Knock.
Here. Okay. Oh, that
Got
company.
it.
Okay.
I got it.
That Finnish company, they were really, really famous for being indestructible up until 2007.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So they were pretty, popular because, especially amongst men, right? But anyhow, after 2007, this company, they wanted to adopt their own software. So basically their own operating system. And so they held hands with this how do I say that? Okay, so not door, but another...
Window?
Yeah.
Oh, microblank?
Yeah, microblank. Okay. So they held hands with them.
Yep.
And they wanted to make a new operating system, but that kind of didn't work out. And then Microblank decided, we're going to drop this whole thing after they actually acquired that company into their own company, right? So they bought the company.
Oh, Microblank owned the Finnish phone company.
Yeah, they did. They decided to just, buy it. But then after a couple of years, they decided, you know what? We're going to just focus on PC and laptops, on computers. So they dropped it. But people who used to, executives of the company before owned by the Microblank company, decided, hey, let's bring the brand back. So they got together and made a new company, and they're bringing the phone back.
Interesting. So what's the design going to be like?
So the design's going to be pretty simple. They're going to keep it really simple, like Finnish design.
Right.
But they're going to bring in Android as their system.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's their compromise this time.
Is it going to look like the Sam Blank or the Fruit Company phones? Like, rectangle with the touchscreen?
Yeah, a bit.
You kind of have to, I think, right?
Really? I think it would be amazing if they came back with like a retro design that kind of resembles like the original iconic phone that they had.
Yeah, maybe. But I mean, that might be a novelty that would wear off very quickly. Maybe. You could be very right, though.
Yeah, maybe they could do like a limited edition.
Right.
Yeah, and then see how it goes. But then I think it's going to be pretty just simple looking like the phones that we have. But I don't know. I don't know how it's going to do.
When is it coming out?
Oh, it's already out.
Oh, it's available for purchase now?
I don't know about Korea, but it's already out.
Interesting.
Wow, that's crazy. Because when you think of like coming up with products or certain ideas, timing is so essential.
Not only that, but you're coming into a market that is absolutely dominated by two companies that have deep pockets.
Yes, but that L company, 80% of cell phone sales in South America was their phones.
Oh, interesting.
So that leaves like a whole void of companies. So like
there are markets around the world where maybe they could grab a slice of the pie.
And if they're not that expensive, I think they have a shot.
Yeah, because the new phones are at least $1,000. Some of them are around $1,500 or more, right?
Yeah.
Really interesting.